The Honourable John McKay has been serving Canada as a Member of Parliament since 1997, and he joins me now to talk public life, Canadian values, and the impact of faith on a nation. Welcome to 100 Huntley Street, MP McKay.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. It's such an honor to have you with us today. You know, as you think about the last 3 decades and your tenure serving under 3 different prime ministers throughout Canada's history, how have you seen Canada change in the last 30 years or so?
Good question. From a faith standpoint, obviously, we've become far more secularized. But it's curious. It's a bit more complicated than that, because if you come to my riding, we've got pretty well every faith group known to mankind in the riding. And the rhythms of their lives, my constituents' lives, are largely governed by their faith expressions. And so that is kind of the subtext of the conversation. Simultaneously, you have a pressure to leave faith out of the public conversation and to operate on some other form of value system. And so you absent your value system from a set of beliefs, then you probably are running into a bit of trouble.
It's interesting. It makes me think of something you said some time ago on our program that Crossroads produced called Context. And you said freedom of religion has turned to freedom from religion. Tell us a bit more about that idea here in Canada.
Well, I'm sorry to say that that's actually becoming far more true. So I'll take my Quebec colleagues as an example. So we were in Ottawa, across the river. There was a commitment on the part of certainly the intellectual set to laicité, which is it was a commitment to secularism. In other words, expunge religion from public life and leave it to private expression, hopefully private expression within your home or place of residence. That, in turn, has led to a bit of a hostility to any form of expression, whether it's dress or even wearing a cross is bad, and that is in turn turned into a bill called C-21, which is to go before the Supreme Court, and I would judge it to be a gross overreach on the part of the religion of secularism to interfering in the faith life and expressions of those who have a religious expression. And essentially what it says is that those who are working in the public, so teachers or lawyers or judges or even civil servants and issuing licenses, for goodness sakes, can't wear a cross, can't wear a turban, can't wear a kippah. They have to be so-called neutral, and if you don't, you lose your job.
Right. And of course, we know that as one province opens up to options like this, that can spread easily across the nation, possibly. When you think about Canada and the history of this nation, we are founded on many biblical principles, and we see that throughout Parliament, even in the Bible verses inscribed throughout the Peace Tower and throughout all of the buildings. And on Canada's coat of arms, Psalm 72 is quoted from sea to sea, referencing, God's dominion over this land. How do you think the biblical values and Christian principles rooted in our forefathers have shaped the society that we see today?
Well, I just take note that people are immigrating to Canada. They're not immigrating from Canada. That the world still thinks that Canada is the place to come to, arguably the most attractive country in the world. The attractiveness of Canada and the success of Canada is rooted in those various elements that you referred to. Now, simultaneously, people come with a whole bunch of different faiths and beliefs, and sometimes none at all. And it's almost inevitable that they will reshape Canada. We are in danger of forgetting our roots, where we come from, who we are, I think that's manifesting itself. Hard to point to a specific instance, but nevertheless, the phrase is diversity is our strength, but sometimes diversity is our weakness as well.
You know, and as we seek to separate biblical or faith values from public life, one of the issues we see unfold is that lack of protection over life, where we see ideas of termination of pregnancy, less value on the life of the unborn, and also medical assistance in dying, where we are seeking to open up those boundaries on those laws to allow more people to apply for euthanasia in this nation. And you've been very active in being an advocate about MAID and the dangers that it can present as these laws are opened up to include more people, including those who have mental health issues and illnesses. Where do you think we are on that spectrum right now, given the recent developments in MAID?
I think we're a little closer to the culture of death than we are to the culture of life. And I think a society that writ large embraces a culture of death will get its wish. And that society will not survive. I've been speaking out on the MAID issue for some time now, primarily based upon our own personal experience with mental health in our family. And there's no kind of litmus test or beaker that you can say, well, this person is well and this person's not. It's all on a bit of a spectrum, and that spectrum changes on a daily basis. And so what you think is a mental health issue today may well not be a mental health issue tomorrow. And so I think our enthusiastic embrace of this is very dangerous.
And I want to thank you, MP McKay, as well as thank you on behalf of all of our viewers for the advocacy you've done against opening up MAID for those who have mental illness in Canada. We are so grateful, and we know that lives have been saved as a result of the recent delay, but we know that's only a 3-year delay. So we have to continue to press into this issue. How can we do that?
Vote. There are a number of issues that are continuing to bubble up and will continue to bubble up. I don't know that this ever gets resolved as long as there's controversy in the society and it's a democratic society. Then my guess is that this issue just simply doesn't go away. You know, people have the right to vote. So if you don't vote, you really don't have a say. You don't have a right to have a say.
That's right. That's good. MP McKay, you have a strong faith in God, and that is well known. How has your relationship with God, your connection to Jesus, shaped your approach to public life and service?
So politically, I've been fairly fortunate to have done a number of bills that really I think are rooted in that continuum. Yeah. So my latest bill has to do with modern slavery. That's a pretty easy line to draw. Old Testament, New Testament, new theology, old theology, Christian, Jewish, the enslavement of the other is just an abuse of human rights, or in the good old language of the Bible, it's a sin.
Yes.
But Jesus' words called us out of that, both practically, but also in our own belief system. So this particular bill, by a series of miracles, both great and small, went from a idea to a bill to working its way through the legislature. And the end of this month is a filing period where all entities of a certain size in this country have to say they've examined their supply chains and they are satisfied it's free of child labor products. Another easy line to draw is a bill I did on making sure that our aid money goes to poor people. Yeah, what a concept. Our aid should go to people who are poor. Well, prior to the bill, it was going everywhere else but poor people. Yeah. But now we at least have a legislative framework where the $6 or $7 billion we call aid actually goes to people in need of assistance. And again, that's a pretty straight through line from from belief to faith to action.
Indeed, and to see your faith in action in so many ways recently and throughout the last 3 decades, we are so thankful for you and so thankful for your legacy here in Canada and for your incredible contribution to Canada. Thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for the invitation.